Deputy John Brady, please.
Thanks, Count Corla. Well, Count Corla, I welcome the opportunity to speak on the flood insurance bill this evening, which Sinn Féin, as my colleague Deputy Doherty has outlined, we will be supporting. And I also welcome those present in the public gallery who have eagerly awaited for this debate for some time. We've all seen the impact that flooding has had on communities right across the state, the length and breadth of the state, and we have seen the total and utter devastation of homes and businesses, on families and indeed on business owners. And the inaction of this government and indeed their predecessors and successive governments to tackle the issue of flooding has been extremely frustrating for those who have been directly affected by flooding, and the absolute failure to invest in proper flood prevention, which has given insurance companies an excuse to refuse insurance cover for home and business owners. And we see the impact of this in my own constituency in towns such as Bray and indeed in Arklow. And the annual pilgrimage to the River Shannon Basin of ministers, of the Taoiseach, of the Taoiseach, on the day for photo opportunities in their new wellies, sitting on the back of tractors and falling out of boats, are seen for what they are. They're fake sympathy. It is fake sympathy, Minister, and it's false concern, and it's followed up with no action whatsoever. I want to commend the work of the Irish National Flood Forum in bringing this issue to the forefront. And they have persevered with this issue, and they have brought it to this point that we're actually debating it here. And I acknowledge the work in bringing it by Fianna Fáil, but the Forum has played a substantial part in it. But, Minister, it is also important to say that many communities across the state have not just been fighting insurance companies to get their home insured. They've also been fighting dubious planning decisions that have rezoned floodplains the length and breadth of this state. They've been fighting irresponsible and reckless councillors who have voted through rezoning, aiding and abetting greedy developers whose only interest is ultimately profit. In my own constituency of Wicklow, the community of Little Bray came together under the banner of SWAP to fight for flood protection along the River Dargle, which was flooded in 1905, 1931, 1965 and again during Hurricane Charlie in 1986, and also to stop the development of the floodplain along the River Dargle. And SWAP have been engaged in a lengthy battle for these flood protection works, which thankfully are coming to a conclusion now, Minister, as you are aware. And SWAP have been fighting now, Minister, for 11 years to prevent a consortium of developers, Pizarro, from building on the floodplain located on the low-lying area of the old Bray Golf Club lands. And planning permission, Minister, and you're aware of this because I've been directly in correspondence with you, planning permission has been granted for high-density developments on that floodplain, and that is absolute madness. And SWAP's simple request remains the same as it did back in 2005, Minister. Build the development alongside the floodplain, not on top of it. It is the most basic of common sense, Minister, for anyone to see, and hopefully you see that yourself. And I call on you now here this evening, Minister, to intervene in this ridiculous situation and stop the development on that particular floodplain. I want to take this opportunity to commend SWAP and the Trojan work that they've been engaged in over the last 11 years, and I welcome them all here this evening, or certainly some of the community here and some of the members of SWAP, Nolene, Mary, Pauline, Vincent, Derek, Mary and David up in the public gallery. And their work to protect the most vulnerable in the community of Little Bray, the elderly, the disabled, is a credit to each and every one of those people, and the many others that have worked alongside and tirelessly on protecting the community of Little Bray. Minister, the human cost of flooding is well known, and we've seen all the cases, all the stories every single year. And Minister, I've outlined it. There's a pilgrimage of ministers, the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach, all rushing down to places when a flood event happens, and that is not right. You know, it is not a photo opportunity for ministers. When the flood defences are in place, insurance companies simply should not be allowed to interject and deny insurance cover, as was outlined already. They are not just stopping insurance cover for flooding, they are also stopping it for theft and for fire, and it has a huge impact. However, Minister, I'll finish on this point, and I think this is a very important point, because we're talking about flood defences and that. The one way to stop floods is simply not to let developers build on floodplains in the first place. And I hope, Minister, you take on board that. I hope you take on board the overall contributions here with regard to flooding, the insurance, but also building on floodplains, Minister. And I appeal to you. You are well aware of the issue. I've been corresponding with you directly on the issue of the floodplain in Bray. We have a one-off opportunity here to protect it, to protect the community of Little Bray, and I'm asking you now to interject and protect the floodplain in Bray. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Brady.